Oh, right.
Right, I want moments thinking about being in primary school. Do you know, looking at stuff from my garage, right? I want to convert it so it's like a gym, and they've got these new pull away racks that you can take the pins out and push them against the wall so they're flat and take them out when you need them. Do you remember being in primary school? Especially, I don't know if it was just a Scottish thing in primary school, and the teacher would be like, "Oh, we're doing, I don't know, gymnastics today," and you'd be like, "Yes, all buzzing, running around in your mad penny blacks," and then they would just pull out this death trap from the wall, and then the teacher would disappear. They would not be seen for at least 90 minutes, and they'd just be kids falling from 10 feet in the air on top of each other, left to do whatever you wanted. It was wild. But I miss those days. Also, who else felt like a pure tank when the teacher was like, "Oh, I'll leave two strong boys to put the blue mats away"? I was like, "Yeah, pick me." Mad times. Have a great weekend, troops. Do you know?
All right, guys. So, guys, I saw this video, and it's kind of trending, a little bit. I wanted to talk about something else, but I said let me talk about this video because I see that it's making a trend, and I want to relate this to something that I've been meaning to talk about for a while because I've been seeing African Americans, moving to the continent like Africa or moving to other countries, just try to explore what the world has to offer because Americans need that, and I think the presidency of Trump has just exacerbated that curiosity of especially black African Americans to explore the world and travel a little bit and get experiences outside of America, right? That is what I want to talk about. So I want to relate this video and give that context because black African Americans, I mean, just found out about black people living in Scotland, so of course it's a shock to them. But you and I that are Africans, that we came from the continent, over the past few years, we definitely know that there are black people in Scotland, Ireland, the United Kingdom, which of course forms the United Kingdom, but London, all of that, right? We know that. But a lot of African Americans just discovered that there are Scottish people, that are black and they have these strong Scottish accents, and they are mesmerized all over America. And that is a conversation that is ongoing right now in America. And, people are just amazed about, what is actually happening. And, it's what they're talking about, right? So that's why I wanted to talk about this. You see, because what I want to point out, in all of this is to share with you guys, the reality of what is actually being happening. And when I want to talk to African Americans, by the way, if you've been thinking about moving outside of America, it's a brilliant move, and I appreciate you guys trying to explore and understand. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what to expect, and think about it. But let's see. I want to play some excerpts here real quick to see if I could shine more light on this issue and how it's taken Americans, black African Americans, aback, and the kinds of conversations being had, around this conversation. So let's listen to this real quick.
A Scottish thing in primary school, and the teacher would be like, "Oh, we're doing, I don't know, gymnastics today," and you'd be like, "Yes, all buzzing, running around in your mad penny blacks," and then they would just pull out this death trap from the wall, and then the teacher would disappear. They would not be seen for at least 90 minutes, and they'd just be kids falling from 10 feet in the air on top of each other.
So basically, it's just saying back in the day when he was, because I guess he was born in 1980, 81. So he's talking about those days when they used to go to school and they have PT, and the teacher would just abandon them and leave them, and then they'll just have fun and kids jumping on top of each other. That's what he's saying here, But of course, it's going to take a lot of listening for you to understand that exactly. But this guy is just sharing. And let's listen.
Left to do whatever you wanted. It was wild, but I miss those days.
Yeah. So it's like it's saying, when kids were just left to do whatever they wanted to do, and that was wayward, and so that was wayward, like wayward, like you say, wayward, you're very wayward, you're not in line kind of thing. That was wayward, right? But that's what he's talking about. So he's thinking about those days, back in his, the 80s or something like that, right?
I got to renew my passport. I can tell you that right now. Expires next month, but suddenly I want to take an international trip. The black man there, Scottish, who knew? Black women had an interesting reaction to this.
Let's
We'll
listen.
take a look.
Listen to that.
Who else seen that black guy who was over, who's from Scotland, who got on our For You page, and he's like scratched something in our brain with his accent, and he's talking about the weather. We're all like, I don't understand what you talking about, but keep talking.
That bitch, some things
But anyways, so of course, African Americans and most Americans, even the white Americans, not just the blacks, have been cocooned. I mean, America has 52 states, and this is something I tell my wife all the time. Like, I'm not even enthusiastic about visiting outside of America because I feel like it's just the name to say, okay, I've been to this country, I've been to that country, right? So I'm not really tuned in traveling because for me, I've seen the best side of the world and the worst side coming from Sierra Leone and seen other on the developed countries how it's like, and then moving to America. There's far in between, right? There's not much between, that I need to see anymore, across the world. But we've seen that African Americans and Americans as a whole, they don't travel as much. But lately, especially since the first term presidency of President Trump, that kind of, inspired a lot of people to travel, and a lot of folks really traveled outside, and it's ongoing as well. So, like I said, I want to use this opportunity, because these African Americans in America, are very mesmerized because, again, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know there are other people outside of, America that have other accents, black people that, have those kinds of accents like the guys have in Scotland, the United Kingdom. Well, they've known about Kingdom for a while, but they've never really gotten into the Scottish, accent. And for the very first time, they're hearing that. And so, this guy, of course, put out another video where it was surprised because he wasn't sure how America kind of caught up with his page, and getting shocked and surprised about everything. So let's watch this other video. But I'm going to talk to black African Americans about leaving America, traveling outside of America to go settle, and I want to tell you guys about what you should expect moving to these countries, and the just want to build a perception for you so you understand, so you're not shocked when you go out there. It doesn't matter if it's Africa or any other part of the world, because if you were born and raised in America, especially if you've used to a certain lifestyle, it's not the same when you move outside of America. Because I know a lot of you guys want to move outside of America to go and explore, other countries, in which, again, I'll say go learn so you can come back and probably appreciate America, or don't appreciate America. Either way it goes, it's nice for you to explore the world. So I want to talk about that, but I just want us to listen to this guy because, again, African Americans are mesmerized by the Scottish accent, and I want us to listen to this video that the guy put out after he put out the first video, and that video blew up, and everybody's like, whoa. So he's surprised, like, what the hell is going on? So listen to this again.
Entertainment on that last post in the last 24 hours has been crazy. But welcome to Black Scottish TikTok. I'm a slow down so that y'all can understand me. My new transatlantic followers are having a hard time following along, at least that's what they're saying in the comments. So let me answer some frequently asked questions. Number one, yes, I am black. Yes, I am Scottish. I am not Sassenach. I am not Irish. I am not Welsh. 43 years born and raised in Scotland. 100% Scotch beef right here. Anyway, I'm not sure how this got to America, me complaining about the weather. But welcome. Black Scottish TikTok isn't just me either. There's a number of Black Scottish creators, so I'm going to tag some. You can blow up their comment section as well, because the love from the US has been crazy. I'm going to accept Black Jamie. I've never actually seen Outlander. Don't cancel me for that. But if BookTok decide I'm Black Jamie, the film rights, the book deals, I'll take them all. One thing I will ask, if you're looking for audiobooks, I'll read any story for the right price. Drop your price in the comments. I'll read the Gruffalo, and you can record that and use that as a bedtime story. But I hope everyone has a great day. At the end of the video, I said catchies, not catchies. It's catchy, as in catch you later. That's a welcoming and a goodbye greeting in Glasgow. So, as we say in Glasgow, catchies.
Okay. So I guess this is how they do it in Glasgow. Catchy. So it's like good evening later. But anyways, so this video, of course, has resonated with African Americans, I guess, because, again, guys, I'm catching up slow to this TikTok thing. I did not know this TikTok thing is a big thing across the world. I was surprised how Facebook viewership dropped drastically. Not so much on YouTube, because if you're already established on YouTube, people come to your channel to watch what they watch. But like the TikTok thing is, I didn't know it was this big, but apparently this video and these guys from Scotland, and other creators from Scotland, I guess, seems like they're catching hell, because a lot of folks are going to their pages now. The African Americans are mesmerized and are going to the Scottish pages of TikTokers to listen to them. Let's see. There's this other guy that was tagged. Let me see if he's saying something here. I was just trying to find this. Let's see what this guy is talking about.
But I think it's getting a bit out of hand now.
Okay, let's see.
If I follow you on socials and I see that it's your... I said I wouldn't make any more videos about Black and Scottish TikTok, but I think it's getting a bit out of hand now, because there's some people that are putting on accents, and I know you, you know me, we both know you don't sound like that. We both know you don't talk like that in real life. Like, honestly, one of the main reasons I felt like I had to bow out is because I know my Scottish accent is not the thickest. We know your Scottish accent is not the thickest. And yes, I understand there's code switching. As a Black
Anyways.
Scot, you can code switch to sound more English. Code switch.
All right. So enough of that. Like I said, the reason why I'm doing this is for my African American brothers and sisters. They are looking at exploring the world, traveling, to other countries. I've seen a lot of videos, like for folks moving to, like Thailand or even Ghana, African countries as a whole, right? African Americans want to explore. They feel like they want to run away, from the Trump presidency, and it is awakening them to say, what, we have to connect again with the motherland and stuff like that. And it's a good thing, right? But there's multiple ways I want to come at this. First of all, like I said earlier, explore, go see the world. Americans need to understand what is actually happening outside of America. It would help to broaden your horizon, help to broaden your perspective, and you will see and understand exactly why, for example, when blacks from Africa, move over here, like myself, when we move over here, we have a certain level of determination and focus, because we know that where we're coming from, the opportunities are not there, and the opportunities are right here. So that's one thing, and you would understand when you move to these countries, like for example, for you that have tried to move to Sierra Leone or Ghana or Nigeria or Kenya or Tanzania or Uganda or South Africa, any country, Namibia, right? Any of these countries that you've tried to move to, Malawi, that you want to move to, Lesotho, you want to go experience what it's like outside of America. That's one thing that you would understand. You will be able to understand exactly the motivation, the drive, and the passion that Africans have, to come to, first wanting to come to America, right? To leave what they have behind, because a lot of times there's nothing. If you're not connected politically and stuff like that, you suffer, and you all see the level of poverty that exists in these African countries. So that is one reason. So when you travel outside of America and you go and live in a third world country or a country that is up and coming, like Thailand or Vietnam, these countries that are trying, I mean, we can see the level of infrastructure is growing every day. So like countries like Thailand, you would see how they're really trying, to get up there. But that is the experience that you get. That's one benefit that you'll get, and you'd understand exactly the passion and the drive that Africans, that like myself, when we move over here, we don't play, right? We hustle, we take it very seriously. We don't play, because not only that we've left families behind, but it's the fact that, we know we came here to succeed, and this is the land of opportunity, and so we're gonna go for it. We're going. That is what you guys would understand. And a lot of my African American brothers and sisters get that, but not a lot of you guys get that. You don't appreciate what you have in America and the opportunities. And this is not me talking about like just, the racism that exists, because it exists, along the way, right? I'm sure one way or the other, every black person might experience that, but it's how you deal with that though, like for a lot of us, it has to be really, really obvious for us to really, pay attention to that kind of stuff. But otherwise, we focused, right? We don't care about the little things that they say and this and that. Like even with the police interactions, it's different for people like myself. When we get pulled over by police officers, I don't try to give all my rights. Yeah, I could be that guy who wants to show all his rights and this and that, but I don't have that time, right? I don't want to deal with all of that issue. I just want to move on and go. So if a police officer pulls me over, I'm trying to be as nice as I could, right? Because we want to make sure the interaction is, whilst it's a little different because of the oppression, the number of years African Americans have suffered in the hands of the system as a whole, they tend to have this perception of the police is out to get me. Again, it's a cultural thing, right? But us that are moving from Africa to the States, we don't want that trouble. We don't want that problem. Police officer pulls us over. Hey, officer, what's going on? And we're nice and courteous and we go about our way, right? So those are some of the things, right? So that's one benefit that it would have for you if you travel outside of America. You would understand how, Africans like myself who moved over here or migrated a few years ago, especially like first generation, you would understand how we get our passion. But also, very importantly, I want you to understand this. For those that are wanting to leave America because you feel like you're running away from the Trump presidency, I will tell you that is the wrong reason to move outside of America. I don't want you to use that as a reason to move outside of America. I'd rather tell you this. I'll say stay and fight to protect and preserve your democracy. I think that would be the best advice I would give you, because America is with other European countries, right? But when you say democracy, it still exists in America. Like a lot of these other countries that you go to, the level of systems that we have, that America has, I'm telling you, it might not be perfect because nothing is perfect, but it's way, way better in America than a lot of these other countries you want to go to. So that's something to really consider and think about. So live in America because of the Trump presidency and you're scared, you're worried, you want to leave, you think it's going to be better out there. I don't think so. I'll say stay, support your Congress people. Look at what is happening in Texas. Democrats are standing up. They are breaking quorum, moving to Chicago. They're back, trying to resist the gerrymandering that is going on in Texas and stuff like that. I'll say participate in your politics. If anything, African Americans, I want to wake you up. Participate in your politics. Get involved, get engaged. But a lot of you guys don't vote, you don't care, but you want the system to work for you. And the only way the system can work for you is if you pay attention to the system. You give the system back, right? So you have to be engaged in your community, right? Watch out for your, contesting elections. Go for council membership. Make sure you attend those meetings that they have, council meetings that they have in your communities. Know when they're having these council meetings, and participate in those meetings so your voices can be heard. That is how you legislate. That is how you change. It starts at the granular level, right? Not just when election day comes, because a lot of people get all this hype. It's election day. Oh, are we gonna go vote? That's not how it works. You have to be engaged before the elections itself, not just presidential elections or Senate elections or Congress elections, but at the municipal level, right? You want to be engaged at your county executive offices, the meetings that your county officials have. I would say get engaged so that you can stand up and defend and protect this democracy, because America remains the greatest country on earth, right? Because the reason why I'm saying all of this, and this takes me to my next point, it is the fact that the certain lifestyle that you've used to, yes, if you move to, for example, say Sierra Leone is my country where I'm from, right? If you move from the United States of America, it doesn't matter your level of lifestyle that you've attained, because a lot of the African Americans that are moving anyways, these are people that are well off in a way, at least somewhat middle class, if not, but halfway there, and at least they've lived a decent life, lived in beautiful communities. The water you take for granted that comes out of your kitchen tap, the water that runs through your shower, the electricity that is constant, the healthcare system. I mean, it's iffy for some people, but at least if you show up at the ER, the emergency room, you'll be taken care of. Yes, you might have some debt, your rights, at least, yeah. Let's say police violates you, like we saw with, black African American, brothers that are unjustly, targeted by police officers. Yes, you can file a lawsuit and get a couple of millions of dollars. That is the difference of America, as opposed to when you move to some of these countries. So if you move to, say, Africa, you move to Sierra Leone, or you move to Ghana, I want you to know you're going to be prepared for the shock of your life, because that order that you're used to, that structure, that system that you're used to, it's not going to be that way, right? Just like in America, yes, people are out to get you, 419ers, scammers, and all of that. It is the same in Africa. And the sad part is sometimes you might end up not even claiming back what you lost from our brothers and sisters, especially if they know that you don't know the system. They want to take advantage of you, and you might not be able to fight back, because otherwise, it doesn't end well, right? When you go back to these countries, you're used to a steady price when you go to the market. That's something that you're not gonna have, because the moment they hear accent, the price is doubling for you. So those are some of the factors that you have to take into consideration, right? The steady electricity that you're used to, that's not it right there. And if you say you're gonna run a generator, except if you're a millionaire and you go with thousands and thousands and millions of dollars, yes, you'll be fine. But otherwise, in Africa, your dollar runs like crazy. $100 can go in no time. It's done. You wonder, what did I do with it? Whilst in America, your $100 could take you far. So those are some of the considerations that you have to have if you want to decide to leave America to go to Africa, or go to any other world or other country like Thailand, because I see a lot of guys, and families moving over there. They say the cost of living is cheaper, and I get it, but of course you have to have some form of income coming, because when you move to Thailand, as an example, there's a 12-hour difference in time zone. So when you go to bed, others in the States are actually waking up. When you're waking up in Thailand, in the United States, people are, getting ready to round up for the day. So those are all factors to take into consideration. It's going to be hard for you to communicate with your family, get in touch with them, and stuff like that. So I wanted to share those with you because, in as much as you're getting mesmerized, some of you might want to move to Scotland. Yes, European countries like those, like the Scots. Of course, I'm sure they have 24-hour electricity. It's kind of steady, but the houses are kind of tiny. They're not big houses like what you're used to in the United States of America, right? You have all the stuff, right? Then I don't know if you want to take it there. I would say don't, because you wouldn't have space for it. The driving, probably right-hand driving instead of the regular left-hand driving that you're used to in the United States of America. Cultural differences, right? Just the way, if you're used to carrying yourself in a certain way in the U.S., it's not the same over there. In some countries, like for example in Africa, if you're an American, African American moving over there, believe it or not, Africans are very friendly people. Naturally, Africans can, treat their own brothers and sisters worse than they will treat you, a stranger. That's a reality. I'm giving it to you, especially for those that have never really interacted with an African American that has the American accent. They'll put you on a pedestal, but of course they want to gain something, right? Because yeah, some of our brothers and sisters are living a good life over there, but still they just feel like there's something missing. If somebody's from America, then that person has everything. So those are all things to take into consideration. You want to be mindful, how you move, again, the systems that you're used to, if there's if there's a walkway, or if there's a, footpath, or there's a crosswalk, we call it zebra. Back home, the crosswalk is called zebras. It's not respected there. And those are some of the culture shock that you'd have, because you would stand in front of a crosswalk wanting to go across the street, and nobody's going to stop for you, except if you're lucky and somebody, sees you. So there's that chaos, right? Those are some of the things that you guys should expect, But I saw this video of these Scottish people, talking, and African Americans are mesmerized. And because, again, Americans, I don't think you guys get taught geography in class. I hope they do. I don't know much about your curriculum because I didn't attend high school here, so I don't know much about it. But I don't think you guys are taught geography, because if you are, you wouldn't be shocked at some of what you see or what you hear, at this point in time. But yeah, people like myself, of course, we know those folks exist. We know Scotland exists. There are black people there. There's black folks everywhere you go. It's just like when blacks move to like Thailand or move to like Vietnam, and they get stared at by the locals. Not racism per se, but they're like, oh, this black person. Look at that black person, because they're not used to seeing black people around, right? Same thing in China or Hong Kong or South Korea. It's the same thing that happens because they're not used to it. But anyways, I just wanted to use this opportunity to talk to our African American brothers and sisters. I'll say again, if you are moving outside of America because of Trump, I'll say think about it, rethink that. Let that not be the reason why you want to move out. I'll say stay back, protect your democracy, defend your democracy, because it's still working in America. It might collapse if you guys don't stand up to protect it, but it still works. And the fact that it works, it means you guys can stand up and help your Congress people, your local representatives, in their various districts and towns, to see how you can support their efforts to at least stop the derailment of our democracy in America. Because the world looks up to America when it comes to, democracy itself. And without the help of America, in terms of stabilizing democracies across the world, democracies are dying right now. And that is the thing that I don't want you guys to get trapped in, thinking, you're living a dictator to go some other place where it's the same thing. It's even worse, when you move to some of these countries like in Africa, Sierra Leone, and this and that, you play by, your rights are really pretty much out the window if you're not careful. They might seem like, oh, we're giving you passports and this and that, but the system is so broken that you're not protected at all. You can be robbed and nothing might come out of it. Whilst in America, you're a lot more safer here, regardless of what the outcome is or what happens to you. You can always seek redress with your situations. Those are just things to remember. But yes, I would encourage you to step out of America, go and explore the world, learn about the world. Hopefully you'll come back and appreciate America for what it is, which I'm sure you would. Or you'll be like, you know what? I've been wasting my time. All this while I could have moved out of America and live a much more peaceful and quiet life, because some countries, it's not so fast. America, it's constantly going, right? The bills are there just waiting. And I can tell you this, America, if only America could fix the housing crisis. And when I say housing crisis, it's the amount of rent that people pay. It's why a lot of Americans are poor. A lot of us, that's why we are poor. Because that rent, the mortgage. In these days, when I see people paying for houses, $700,000, $800,000, and a lot of these people are living from paycheck to paycheck. You're one paycheck away from losing that house. It makes no sense. And I tell folks this all the time. Like, why take these expensive houses where you're paying anybody paying over $4,500, $5,000 a month, and you are working paycheck to paycheck. You're one paycheck away from losing your home. It does not make no sense. But if America brings down or regulates the housing price, the rental price in this country, I guarantee you America would be like, there would be no comparison. Because when you move to other countries, for example, people that have been moving to Thailand, even though everybody charges in US dollars, that is one thing they'll tell you, because you'd have a very exquisite, pleasant, beautiful apartment in Thailand, and you're paying probably $1,000. That equivalence of that apartment in Thailand, you might be paying $7,000-$8,000 to live that life. We're talking about apartment complexes that have like 2-3 swimming pools in between. Probably there's a swimming pool on the 9th floor. They have a massage parlor. They have everything, restaurants in there. In these high rises and stuff like that. In the United States, that's a arm and a leg. If America could just work on reducing mortgage rates and apartments, the pricing, I guarantee you, if we get to the point where the most expensive rent is probably under $1,000, say a 3-bedroom apartment is under $1,000, I guarantee you, regardless of what area you live in, I know that's far-fetched, that's not going to be a reality, but America would be the best place, because rent is what's killing a lot of folks. By the time people pay their rents or pay their mortgages, it's not much left. And it's constantly the cycle, paycheck to paycheck. You're one paycheck away from losing your house in America. That is the problem. That is a fundamental issue that if only the legislatures can come together, and Democrats or Republican, this should be a national issue that should look at. And I'm saying this for someone who has that experience, internationally. I'm saying the edge that a lot of other countries have over America, and why Americans feel poor today and Americans feel like the dollar is not going anywhere, it's because of housing. Housing is the #1 rate of poverty in the United States of America. That's a fact. If that can be worked on and that can be reduced, we can have, homes, and people are paying. If you pay, it should get to a point where America, if you're paying $2,500 a month for your mortgage, it's expensive. If we get to that point in America, I guarantee you there will be so much wealth floating around. The economy would be a lot more better than what it is right now, and Americans would not run to go to other places to go and live. So, for example, let's say somebody retired, a veteran, and they're probably getting from the TSP, they're getting money from their VA benefits. Let's say, I assume at the end of the month, they're taking home $5,000. In America, that is not going to go far. But if you take that same $5,000 and move to Africa, if you have a house, which it's the best thing to do, like build a house or something like that, or even if you're renting. But let's assume your rent is $400 a month or $500 a month. Even though some African nations, man, they're charging arms and legs these days too, because they want to match the American standard, and they're missing the point completely, because they want to encourage more people to come. But you could go far with $5,000 outside of the United States. Because if a whole family, I saw a video of a lady who was talking about the fact that a whole family, actually they live on about $1,500 a month, So when you look at situations like those, you know for sure that, if I can get this, I'll be set. So that is what I wanted to share with you guys and let you guys understand, and hopefully you'll get the message. But it's a fact. Let me see if I can share this video that I'm talking about with this lady when she was sharing how she. So this is an example of what I'm talking about.
I moved my family from Thailand back to China, and let me tell you why. He lived in China before. My kids pretty much grew up here in China, and so they wanted to come back to China before.
Give me 1 second here. All right,
China with a family of 4. I have been craving you can never live off of
this lady. She's giving us a budget, how much she spends living in China for a family of 4. All right, so I want you to listen to this.
You can never live off of $1,500 a month living in China with a family of 4. The fact that people do not believe that this is possible, let me just write down all of the bills I have for the month. We live in a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and our rent is $625 a month. Our utilities are a little bit under $75 a month, so I went ahead and rounded that up. Our groceries for the month, if we don't do a Sam's Club or a Costco's run, it's about $400 a month, and that is also including eating out. Our transportation is anywhere between $90 to $100 a month. Again, I rounded that up for you all. And our internet is with our cell phone, so they're combined together, and that's only $55 a month. And yes, this is for 4 people. So we save anywhere between $200 to $245 a month from. Yes, this has been our budget living abroad for the last 9 years.
So when you look at stuff like this, right, she's saying their internet is like $55 for a family of 4, and it's on their cell phone plans. I mean, picture how much we pay here for cell phone bill, right? Recently, we kind of made that switch because my wife was, paying the phone bill in her name. The whole time I thought she was using some of my discounts. We're paying almost $500 a month for the past, God knows how many years, right? For phone plans and everything, just phone, not even the internet, because the internet is totally with another provider. Until recently, we made the adjustments and brought the payment down, but still, it's a little under $300, for 5 phones on the line. So think about all of those, right? This is some of the issues that are causing poverty in America and why it is what it is. But I wanted to share, these Scottish things with you guys, because it's kind of mesmerizing African Americans. They're shocked and surprised that there are Scottish people out there, and and they have those accents. So that was that was crazy, but that's what it was. I want to share with you. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it right here. If you're an African American, I'll say go explore, but at the same time, just be prepared to be shocked if you leave America and go anyplace else. There's a 90% chance that you're coming back, you know. And do remember this: when you come back, it's gonna take some adjustments to readapt, especially if you don't have a savings. I will tell you this: if you want to leave America to go overseas, make sure you have some money saved up here, so at least when you come for the first month, you can at least be able to probably, you know, pay a hotel, you know, a motel or whatever that is, so that you can have some accommodation, because it's real when you move to this country for the very first time. Getting your own place, it's a nightmare. Some of us experienced it, you know. Some other people had terrible experiences. Some of us were lucky with the people that we came to and family members and stuff like that. But remember that that's one thing to take into consideration. If you're coming back, make sure you have enough money saved, you know, to get yourself readapted. But leaving America, going overseas, you know, if you're doing it because you're running away from President Trump, that's not the right thing to do. Stay and fight for your democracy and protect it, okay? But yes, go explore the world and see what is out there. There's a lot of learning that you guys have to learn about the world. Give yourself a bigger perspective and have an understanding of what life is really like, all right? Anyways, thank you all. Bye-bye. All right, my friends that hung with me, I see 4 of you there. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, okay? Thank you for hanging with me there. We're getting there. This TikTok thing, everybody's on TikTok. Nobody's on YouTube and Facebook as much anymore. But anyways, bye-bye. All right.